Welcome back to the Broken Box. Today we're talking parenting. I think a very specific vein of parenting. This is going to be a more off the cuff, just whatever comes to my head kind of episode. I'm just going to start talking and see where this goes. Maybe a different kind of episode than you're used to, but I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be fun to hear some honestly or brutally honest, raw takes from a person who just became an adult about parenting. And now you might be wondering, Stephen, how are you in any way qualified to speak about parenting? Well, I haven't been a parent, right? I'm kidding. Of course, I'm not a parent. I'm 18, dog. Like, just chill. I'm not a parent, but I have been a kid for a while. I just became an adult. So I think, just hear me out on this, parents, because I think I have some thoughts that might be of interest to you. Today, on The Broken Box with me, your host, Steven, I think we're going to tackle technology and childcare and how those things kind of weave together, and specifically how you're turning your children into dopamine addicts. Yeah, we went there immediately, like 30 seconds in. You're turning your children into dopamine addicts, but let's just roll the intro first. Okay, that's it. Okay, so what do I mean by this, right? What do I mean by this? This is hard. And I'm trying to frame this in a way that does not make me seem like an incredibly old person. But this stuff does genuinely make me angry to see. Parents, I gotta ask you, like, now I know a lot of people are gonna immediately take offense to me saying this, right? Because they're like, oh, of course you would say that. You've never been a parent. You know, you don't work the jobs that we work. You don't do the things that we do. It's hard. It's difficult. I'm so busy. I'm so tired. Sometimes it is just easier to give your child the iPad that they want, right? Put on some Cocoa Melon, get them shut up. I sympathize. I understand. You would want to say to me, Stephen, you are not qualified to speak on this. What do you know of being a parent? What do you know of being an adult and having to pay a mortgage and pay bills and take care of your family and take care of kids? Sometimes it is just, yes, I understand. 100%, I get it. Parenting is not easy. But in my view, there is no greater responsibility on planet Earth. Okay, there's no corporate job. There is no investment banking. There is no doctor being or life-saving or lawyer. This, I don't care, like engineer, and maybe I'm upsetting the balance of the universe being Indian and saying this. But I don't think there's any greater responsibility in life than being a good parent. Why? Because I don't think we grasp the weight of what exactly is happening when you are a parent. You are preparing and shaping and molding the humans that will carry forth the mantle of humanity. Like, I don't think we give that enough thought. I mean, like, these kids who are running around, right? Right? Those kids that you got sitting in your kitchen watching that nightmare fuel Cocoa Melon or whatever. I don't know why I'm dogging on Cocoa Melon so much. I'm a little out of touch with kids' media, okay? Like, I haven't been a kid in a while. But that kid that you've got sitting there that you're pacifying with Roblox is going to be tomorrow's senator, is going to be tomorrow's parent. And in turn, that parent is going to foster a next generation. And you better hope that you instilled your kid that you have today with the right instincts for when they become a parent. You realize that parenting is one of the only jobs that consistently has a generational impact. You will impact centuries of humanity with how you treat the one kid in your household. Like, do you understand why I get passionate about this? Because I think so many parents take the idea of being a parent for granted, or as if it's some kind of chore or burden. It is not a burden. It's the reason I'm here. It's the reason you're here. Don't feel sick of your kids. It is your responsibility. There is no other job in the world that creates, by virtue, by just being what it is, that kind of generational impact. The words you speak, the attitudes you instill into your kids, these things are going to impact not just you, but your children, every person they meet and encounter and interact with throughout their whole lives, no matter how long it is. And then all those people going forward into the world, and their children and their children's children, and there is a waterfall effect to being a parent, and you are funneling right? You are taking all the history that has preceded you and you are funneling that through you into your kid in the hopes that you can filter out what was bad in what your parents did to you and give them what is good, so that when they get old, they can hopefully do the same thing. There is no greater responsibility in humanity than this. You can't assign a figure value to this job, okay? It's not a 6-figure job. It's not a 7-figure job. No. It is just there's an infinite loop of both benefit and destruction that can result from the choices you make today. And I don't say this to scare people. I don't say this to scare people who are parents who feel like that, because no one has it figured out, right? But specifically what got me passionate about this is because I see so many parents viewing their children as a burden. Like, you know how like old husbands used to always do the joke, like the missus, the old ball and chain, you know? Like, I get they're joking, but also like there's like a genuine sentiment around many husbands that their wife is somehow like a burden to them. Like, how do you think that sentiment reads to your kid? But more importantly, speaking on this topic right now, that's a whole different can of worms. But speaking on this topic specifically, many parents have been using technology as a pacifier, right? They don't eat their food, here, watch some TV. You don't behave, here, have your iPad, just play some games or whatever. Go on Roblox, go on Instagram, go on Facebook, scroll through mommy's phone, scroll through daddy's phone. Just shut up and take it. It's like I've seen so many. It's like scary. Like whether it's like literally like the phone is like the new age pacifier. It's like, oh my gosh, they're crying again. Here, just take this and do something on it, bro. Just shut up. Just shut up. Is the sentiment that a lot of you parents are giving to your children. Like, come on, really? Technology can be an amazing, wonderful tool, but it can be a cruel master. And you are turning your children into slaves of that master before they've even had a chance at life. Understand that you are preconditioning them to slavery, to this. That's crazy. Do you realize that dopamine addiction and addiction to what's in here is so much more potent in the modern day than it ever was before? Like, people didn't get addicted to reading books like that. You know what I mean? Like, maybe some did. Maybe some wackos did. But like people weren't like, oh, I gotta read, man. I gotta, like, you know. You are turning your children into slaves of a box before they can even spell their alphabet out. Before they can spell cat. Before they can spell apple, they're already acquainted with everything about Apple. You know what I mean? And I know I sound like such an old person in this conversation. And maybe you're like, where's this energy coming from? This is a different type of energy he's on today. But this is it's like a passionate topic for me. Every time your kid expresses some kind of discomfort, if you shove this in their face, you are training them to expect a technological reward for every outburst that they have. Can I ask you a question? Why then are you surprised when your kids grow up to be people without empathy, when they lack empathy? Why are you surprised when they grow up to be uncaring for the needs of others? Why are you surprised when they grow up not being sympathetic to how other people feel? Because was anyone ever sympathetic or empathetic towards them? Because think about how they've been trained, right? Conditioning is an important part of growing up, and everything you do conditions your child, whether you like it or not, and this is a part of training. You have conditioned them from birth to understand that, hey, if you make noise, you're going to get something to shut you up. The indirect messaging I feel like is there is, hey, I don't care what's going on right now. I'm not going to take the time out of my day to deal with this issue and teach you how to cope with these feelings that are complicated and difficult by yourself. So I'm just going to give you a drug to pacify it. We are making children into drug addicts before they've even had a chance to learn how to do long division, dog. Here, you make noise. You have outbursts. And kids need to be trained to deal with those emotions, because when a little kid is a little kid, he does not know how to control his emotions. And guess what? By not training them to control their emotions as children and giving them a pacifier, specifically a technological pacifier, just shoving it in their face, when you shove that technological pacifier in their face, you are creating a generation of humans that are unable to cope with their emotions and are instead trained to pacify them. I don't get to feel. I get to numb. I don't get to feel. I get to pacify. I don't get to understand what it is that I want truly. Is it connection? Is it human connection? Is it my natural curiosity that needs to be fostered and driven in the right direction? No. These things are too big for me to understand. I can't deal with all these emotions, so I'm just going to numb it. Whatever's in here that I don't want to deal with gets pacified. Do you realize what your exposure to the internet, like you exposing your children to the internet that early on is doing to their minds? You are turning children into dopamine addicts. Dopamine addiction is a serious issue, meaning we have trained our brains constantly to crave that drug to a point where when people can't use their phones, they find themselves like phantom checking their phones at all times. Everywhere they walk in public, it's just like, oh, my phone's dead. Oh, phone's dead. Like, I did this myself as a test one week. This is how I knew I had to start limiting my Instagram use, dog. Because I went on there and I set a time limit for myself for 30 minutes. Low-key, 30 minutes is already kind of a long time on Instagram. Like, if you really think about it, like, you're like, dang, like, I really spent 30 minutes on this thing? Like, dang. Like, you know what I mean? But to me, I hit that time limit so fast. And then when that notification came up saying, your time's up, I was like, what? Like, and that's when I knew I was like, okay, I got to pay attention to this because this is crazy. Like, and then for the whole rest of the day, I found myself just without even thinking, just automatically, all right, let me see some reels. Let me see. Like, and I'm a kid who got a phone way later in life than some of these kids are getting internet access today. Literally before they can speak, before they can write. They know how to operate. Some of these kids know how to operate this phone better than I do. Like, I know I sound so dated right now. I'm only 18 years old. I know I sound like, back in my day, kids used to have to go to the coal mines and get their own. And I'm not saying any of that. I believe technology can be a wonderful educational tool. So many kids have learned how to speak coherently, have learned about different cultures, have learned about creative thinking and problem solving through technology, yes. But little Timmy's on Roblox instead of reading books, and now he grows up to be an uncaring, unempathetic, unfeeling human being who can't cope with his own emotions. See, pacifying kids by shoving an iPad in their face every time they have an outburst or every time they stomp their feet and cry about it has a couple of different effects, and none of them are good. Okay? Number one, it raises adults, it creates adults who believe that being the loudest in the room means being right, means they get what they want. I don't think I have to tell you how dangerous those adults can be. I know those adults. It's a weird feeling when you feel more mature than the adults in the room, but you can see it, especially when you're a young person. You can see it so clearly when there's an adult who never grew past a certain part of their development because their parents were babying them when they were young. And instead of dealing with their emotions, instead of dealing with their ego, which they're still developing, their sense of self-esteem, which they're still developing, instead of dealing with those things, they just shoved an iPad, or I guess the equivalent of whatever the iPad was when they were young, in their face. Right? We skirt past these issues because as parents, it's easier not to deal with them. But like, you've raised an adult who believes that being loud means you get what you want. You are raising adults who believe it is inherently best to be the loudest in the room. Not the kindest in the room, not the most patient in the room, not the politest, if that's a word, in the room. Not the most long-suffering in the room. Not the gentlest people in the room. Not the meekest people in the room. Not the most humble people in the room. Not any of these things. No. By training them to be loud so that they get what they want from an early age, you are conditioning their minds to believe in their heart of hearts that being loud equals being right. I gotta be the loudest in the room. It's like a terrible Travis Scott song. Shout out the ones that get that. What else was I saying? There's other effects too, right? Yeah. And I kind of touched on this before. You are training a generation of kids who are emotionally incapable. Why are you surprised when they're emotionally incapable? Why they don't care about your emotions when they become teenagers? Because from their perspective, you ain't never really cared about theirs. And I'm not saying that's true. Of course, as a parent, you care. I'm not saying that's true. I'm just saying conditioning is a powerful thing. Right? Because when they were young, when they were confused, when their minds caused them to cry, when they threw tantrums for these things, it is your responsibility as a parent to say, hey, tantrums don't get you things. It is your responsibility as a parent to say, hey, I'm not going to give you this drug, which I know will please and pacify you and quiet you down. Will placate you. That's the word I've been looking for, this whole placation. Think about it, like Aldous Huxley's Brave New World, right? They give these the masses drugs called, was it Samola? Is it what's the drug in Brave New World? Hold on, I actually got to remember this. Brave New World drug. Soma. There is a drug that is consistently administered to the masses in Aldous Huxley's Brave New World called Soma, and it's designed to keep them numb and placated. What is the new drug? This is the new drug. And I'll probably do more videos talking about this. I don't think I've even scratched the surface of what it means when I say this is the new drug. But this is our new drug. This is what is used to placate the masses. It has been often said by dictators and people that, if you keep the people fed and entertained, they will never revolt. They will never think for themselves. And I sound so alpha male podcaster right now. Please don't run away. But this is a passionate topic for me because in your child's life, you are their rule, you are their authority, and you are teaching them early on that, hey, when you want something, you get a placation device. You don't get real solutions, you don't get real work, you don't get real effort put into making you a better person, you get placated. You get your Roblox, you get your Coco Melon, you get your Minecraft. I don't know, what's popular these days, bro? Like, dog, what's popular? You get Skibbity Toy. I can't believe it. I just forget I even said that, bro. I just got passionate. I'm so sorry. I genuinely apologize. But that is the kind of brain rot these kids are watching, low key. And parents, I'd also like to ask you, do you really know what your kid's doing on that internet that you gave them unmitigated access to? Be so for real. The internet is not a place little kids should be able to navigate freely. I've seen so many little kids in daycare bringing iPhones that are more expensive than mine and with full unmitigated internet access. I'm like, you got an Instagram? Boy, you're 8. You are 8 years old. Oh, that's your mom's Facebook? Even worse. Oh, you got pervs in your DMs? You're 12 years old. Oh. This conversation is kind of icky, but also you get what I'm saying, right? The internet is a devastatingly dark place. Why are your children on there with no... why are your kids on Roblox 24/7, bro? They play and dress to impress. They can't even dress themselves. They play in Natural Disaster Tycoon. They ain't never touched grass in their life, dude. Touch some grass. Talk about playing some real life simulator, bro, on Sims 4. What is that? Why are you teaching your kids to value fake experiences before they value real ones? And then is it going to be any surprise when they grow up and they do the same exact thing? Yikes, dude. The role you fill as parents has a generational impact. Generational, dude. I don't think there's any other job in the world that can claim that kind of influence. A lot of people don't see it worth their while raising kids, but I'm telling you, it is the most impactful if you choose to do it. And here's what I'm going to say. If you know for a fact you're not going to be a good parent, don't have a kid. Don't just have a kid just to have a kid. I read this in a YouTube comment section one time, and I quote it all the time. Every child deserves to have a good pair of loving parents, but not every parent deserves to have that kid that they do. You've met people who they definitely should not be parents, but they are. So if you are, it's your responsibility to make the best of it. I'm so sorry. I'm getting so heated about this. Please, I love you all. I love you all, and I know that a lot of people come in here with the best intentions, but I've seen so many parents who use technology as a crutch or as a drug to placate their children instead of educating them, and it's just devastating. Attention span deficit. These kids are not going to be able to pay attention in school because they never had to pay attention or look at a wall for more than 5 seconds. Because the second their mind stops working by itself, they just get something in their face to activate it for them. It's embarrassing. And life becomes so gray when all your brain seeks is that dopamine hit. Life becomes so aggressively miserable when your life has been training you to seek that dopamine hit. That dopamine hit of scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. That dopamine hit of video games. That dopamine hit of TV. And all these things are fun and good by themselves. I love TV. I love watching TV shows, bro. I love watching TV shows. I've never been a huge gamer, personally, but I don't have anything against people who game. Do you, man. Have fun. Life is good, but all things in moderation. The issue is that when they get it, when they're 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, there's no chance for them to be moderated in these things. You're not giving them a chance to even learn what moderation means, because it has been a tool that they have used all their lives, a tool that's supposed to be just a tool that has become the master of them. It has enslaved them to it. Proverbs 22, verse 6. Proverbs 22, verse 6. I try to, bring in the Bible somehow on and this is like a different kind of episode. I'm not like breaking down a Bible passage or breaking down a super core spiritual truth. But okay, as soon as I read this verse, I'll explain why I believe this is also a spiritual thing as well. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. There's biblical precedent for this. If you need the biblical precedent, what you do now sets so much foundational understanding for your child. And I have no idea why I'm even talking about this. This is not what I came in here planning to do, but it's just what happened. And I think there's going to be... But don't think I'm just ragging on the parents here. I'm not just dogging on you guys, okay? Because I have an equal mouthful for us kids, and I think it's going to be important to hear that as well. Okay, I promise you, this is not a one-sided battle. I'm not trying to paint this picture that kids are all perfect and the parents are no. And it's not even all parents, because a lot of the good parents who are watching me, and I believe that most people who are watching are good parents because you guys care. I believe that sincerely. I do. I'm just putting this out there for anybody who might be feeling like. I just caution you to think, don't ever. I know this is hard. I know this is so hard because parenting is difficult. And time is a precious resource, and time is difficult. But, it's not easy. If it was easy, everyone would be good at it. But it's not. But it is also one of the highest callings a human is capable of having. Because in your hands lies generations upon generations of... And the same way your parents weren't right about everything, you're not going to be right about everything. But we are presented with a unique opportunity in 2024, in this day, this century, to turn our kids into slaves of something without a face before they've even had a chance at life. If you doubt what I'm saying about how damaging addictions to devices and addictions to the internet can be as a young child, I would really caution you, do some research, read into it yourself and think about your own life. Think about how dependent you are on this, and then imagine if you had developed that dependency at the age of 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, I don't care. Just one of those ages. That's, Your kids should not have unmitigated access to one of the darkest places in the world. Your kids should not be... the age is 13 plus on Roblox for a reason. Don't get your 6-year-olds on there. Don't get your 6-year-olds on there. I don't know how else to put this. Why does your 7-year-old have Instagram? They should not have Instagram. These are practical things. And if your kid stomps and cries about it, it's your responsibility as a parent to instill into them this value that you can make your case politely or you can not make it at all. And logically and coherently and kindly and respectfully. And stamping your feet and crying about it doesn't get you anything in this life. That's the kind of message I would recommend instilling into your kids if you don't want them to grow up to be adults who can't take no for an answer. You know adults that can't take no for an answer are dangerous people, right? On emotional levels, social levels, mental levels, criminal levels. No means no. You realize how far this can go, right? And I'm not absolving people of their responsibility. I don't want to develop this idea that people can just blame their parents for what they're like. No, you're a grown man. You have some responsibility now that you know more about what the world is like, to actually speak and conduct yourself in a way that's good, even if that's not what your parents told you or taught you. But I'm also giving parents responsibility here. I'm saying it's a two-way street. Me as an adult now have responsibility for my personality and keeping myself in alignment with what people expect from me and being as good a version of myself as I can be, even if, I'm not saying this is the case, even if my parents didn't do a good job. And I would 100% say they did. At least that's my personal view. But like, even if they didn't, as a grown man, I would have a responsibility to learn from the world around me on what it means to be good. I'm just saying, as parents, you have an equal, if not greater, opportunity and responsibility to instill good values into them early, to deprive them of certain things early so that they can be well-rounded individuals later on, so they don't have to work out these issues in therapy. They don't have to dig themselves out of that hole, but they can go into the world being well-developed people with functioning attention spans and a functioning sense of empathy and sympathy and intuitiveness, emotional intuitiveness. These things that you don't get when you've been fed a pacifier, when you've been fed a placation device all your life. And when I say pacifier in this video, I'm not talking about actual pacifiers. I have no idea what don't even like say that I'm like Stephen George is saying that pacifiers are a bad thing, like the physical pacifier. I don't care about that. I'm talking about placation devices. And this I focused heavily on technology in this video, but it can be a lot of things. It can be a lot of things that you use to avoid dealing with hard moments in parenting. I go to church, these kids all up on their iPads, they sticky with boogers and stuff. Like, yeah, that's nasty. Like, first of all, teach your kid to clean, like, their devices or whatever they're using. Like, and second of all, like, why? When I was a kid, I sat in church service for 2 hours plus. And I learned that that's what attention span means. So now when I have to sit through a college class, it's not an issue for me. When I got to do what I got to do, it doesn't like, do I like it all the time? No. Do I get distracted? Of course I get distracted. But like, for me, sitting through a 1.5 hour church hour, 1.5 hour church service today is no issue because that's what I did when I was a kid. I didn't get toys shoved in my face when I couldn't keep my mouth shut. I just learned to keep my mouth shut in times I should be keeping my mouth shut. Like, these are things that you pick up as a kid, because kids are pretty smart. You got to give them credit. They're not dumb. They're actually human beings, and human beings are wired to be curious, and they're fast learning. They're going to learn whatever you give them. So if you're going to teach them dependency on placation devices, if you're going to teach them utter dependency on things, on material things to bring them happiness and satisfaction, if you're going to teach them how to not be alone with their thoughts, you're going to raise people who are not well-rounded, people who have short attention spans, people who can't be alone with their own thoughts. It's hard, even for us to be alone with our own thoughts. We're so surrounded by noise these days. Like, we just got to have something play in the background, right? And that's not a bad thing. Sometimes you're learning through that, and sometimes but like the art of just going outside without music in, and just, I don't know. There's a lot more I could say on this. And I do have a lot for the kids as well. There is a lot more that could be said on this. There is a lot. But, and I think, in future videos, I'll probably expand on different areas, different angles, attack this from different perspectives. And I'd love to get even a parent on here and just have a perspective chat about this and other related issues. You might not think me qualified to speak on this, and that's okay. You can agree with or disagree with some of the stuff I'm saying. But I think even though I've not had a lot of experience parenting, you would hope, right? I do have a lot of experience being a kid and being around kids and being around adults who you can clearly see have not been taught right. And the thing is, unfortunately, not everybody has a good parents in their lives. And that's where kids, you got to give your parents some grace too. And just be thankful that they're around. Because some people grow up not learning the right things because they never had parents to depend on. And that's where he comes in to me. God is a father to the fatherless, and he has shaped so many of the men that I find impactful in my life who didn't have fathers around. They learned what it means to be a man from Jesus, from God. And honestly, if you're going off of him as your example, you can't really go wrong. Because there's no better example for what manhood means than he who loved the world so much that he would give his life as a ransom for many. In Jesus' view, manhood does not mean all the things that we have made it mean in culture. It means what he said, the Son of Man did not come to be served by others, but to serve and to give himself, his life, as a ransom for many. And now I'm getting into a completely different topic. And if I was doing longer form videos, I would just go into it. But I'm going to save that because Now I'm getting into biblical manhood and what it means to be just a person, or just a dude. What it means to just be a guy according to Jesus. What it means to be a guy according to culture. That's a whole different thing. But come on now, remember, technology, as with many things, for your children and for you as well, like this applies to you, can be a wonderful tool, a wonderful servant, but it can be an equally cruel master, slave driver. Don't make your kids slaves of it early. Give them a chance, Just be mindful of how you utilize it in your life. Just be mindful of, does every interaction, does every meal, does every spare second come with a Roblox account and some Ritz crackers? Just, spend the time. Like, and YouTube and this and that and Instagram, Facebook, like, get your kids off of social media. Get your kids off the internet. They shouldn't be there. Most of us probably shouldn't be there. I'm trying to use the internet for some good stuff right now. There's some terrible stuff on here, bro. You don't want to even know. And maybe you even do know. And Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. Whew. It's a different kind of video, right? Hope you all enjoyed. Hit that subscribe button if you want me to keep making more content like this. Even if you think you're subscribed, just go ahead and check for me. I would really, really appreciate it. Just, lets me know that you guys are messing with this. Lets me know that you guys are enjoying this and I should keep making more. Different kind of video today. I hope you guys aren't mad at me. Don't be angry. I know, hearing this kind of perspective from a person who's not a parent might be difficult, but I think there's a lot I have to offer in just perspective, right? Take it from a kid. Take it from a kid. You're raising them, right? For anybody who is. And if anybody here is about to become a parent, or you're young like me and you want to be a parent maybe one day, I don't know what your plans for life are. Just take what I'm saying and take it with a grain of salt. Understand and come to your own conclusions. Absolutely. But I think everything I said here today, I just hope you consider it. All right, I'll see you all in the next one. It's getting late out here. I should really just go to bed, man. But I'll see you all in the next one. Remember, sometimes it is not good enough to just go outside the box. You have got to break it. I'll see you all in the next one.